Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters.
Yeah, good morning. You are listening to the Scout Team. It is Monday, October 15th, and we are live 6 a.m. and again at 11 a.m. on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
And the man on the other microphone, he is the greatest patriot I have ever known. They call him... Woo!
Hail victory! Brave on the warpath, fight for only sin. Run or pass and score, we want.
Yeah, it's your boy, Chris America, coming to you live this Monday.
You
Congratulating
don't sound
my
super happy over there. What's wrong?
congratulating my favorite co-host. Maybe my second favorite co-host. It depends on my mood. Loudbeard, first of all, happy birthday yesterday. And your Redskins gave you a birthday present on your birthday. They beat my Panthers. So congratulations, buddy.
You know, I got to take that as a win. It was a great win. I still don't know what these Redskins are. They come out one week looking great, and then the next week they look bad. Then they come back looking great. They played really great on Sunday. I hope we can string together a couple good performances like this because your Panthers, they're a good team, and they're very talented, and they made it close at the end. This was a nail-biter all the way through. I have to say, I just have to say congratulations to my team, but also you've got a good season ahead of you, Chris America. Don't count your Panthers out. You've got a lot of good stuff coming, okay? Just because you took a L to the Redskins doesn't mean it's over. This was just a little bit of a blip on the radar. You guys will bounce back. I know that the Panthers are a good team, and they will have a great season ahead of them.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And I mentioned on Friday that this game could end up a lot like the Green Bay Packers game. I'd mentioned that the Green Bay Packers came to Washington, and the Washington crowd and the Redskins had everything they could handle waiting for them. And it was basically the same game almost. Redskins jump out to an early lead. They caused some turnovers. Excuse me, I didn't mean to burp in the mic. They caused some turnovers. Sorry, that wind just chokes me up. And you guys got the win.
Understand.
Now, I can hear your voice. It's a little hoarse. It sounds a little weak this morning, and I think it's because you rooted really hard for your UCF Knights and your Washington Redskins. You had a great weekend.
Yeah, great weekend. When both your college and professional football teams win, it's definitely a great weekend. And, you know, UCF didn't make it easy on me. They had to do the heroics last-minute comeback against the mighty Memphis Tigers. And you know what? I'm going to take that as a win, and we're just going to move forward. 19 wins in a row. I don't know if there's any other college football teams out there right now that can say that. Actually, I know for a fact there are no other college football teams out there that can say that. But there are going to be the haters out there that are always going to be hating up against my UCF Knights. And I just say, bring it. Bring your hate. I can take it. And guess what? I will dish it back out because I know that these UCF Knights are for real. And as long as they keep winning, they're just going to keep moving up the standings and the rankings. Well, maybe they'll stay still because other teams lose and then jump ahead of them. It doesn't make any sense. But we'll get into that. My UCF Knights, man.
Yeah, you know, Loudbeard, I have words of wisdom from the wise and noble Taylor Swift. Haters just going to hate.
Wow. That hit me real hard, man.
That's
deep.
your motivational Monday of today.
That's deep.
Is haters going to hate. Quote by Taylor Swift. I couldn't say it any better than myself, Mrs. Swift, or Miss Swift.
Yeah, I don't think she's married yet.
She has way too many breakup albums to be married.
Right. I mean, imagine how terrible the album will be when she's like, I'm just happy. Everything's great. I'm getting married. Everybody's going to be like, you suck. No, we need all the breakup stuff where you talk trash about everybody that you've ever dated in your entire life. That's basically
Nobody
your
wants
whole
to
career's
hear
off
about
of
how Eminem and Kim made it through the rough times and they're happily ever after. No, we want to hear all of the drama.
Absolutely.
And there was
Living in the
plenty.
drama.
There was plenty of drama this weekend, and we mentioned my Panthers went down early. My Gators went down early, down by 18. UCF went down by 16. So yesterday I was sitting here thinking, like, man, maybe this is just my theme for today, for this weekend, is I got to watch my team come back down 3 possessions and make a game of it, but it just didn't happen. They fell short. They fell about 20 yards and a terrible pass on 3rd and 5 short of it. But no excuses. We lost. Redskins are the better team. You know why I know the Redskins are the better team, Loudbeard?
Why is that?
Because I watched the Redskins beat Carolina on the football field. That's how I know.
Yes. That's where games should be won. On the field.
Yeah, not on the internet, not in some ranking system where LSU somehow magically jumps to 5th place. They jump up 8 spots. And Florida, my Gators are also getting disrespected, much like your UCF Knights are. My Gators are somehow 6 spots behind the LSU Tigers, whom I watched them beat last week by 8 points, have 11 tackles for loss. I think they had 5 or 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, utterly dominated the LSU Tigers in the run game. They ran all over them for 215 yards. Yet somehow, Loudbeard, my Gators are ranked 11, and LSU is ranked number 5.
Well, if I had an explanation for you, I'd be able to give it right now. But the unfortunate part is, when I look at this ranking system, there's really not a whole lot of explanation necessary other than, I don't know if it's like a who you like right now kind of thing. Oh, LSU just won this week. They beat Georgia. Good win. Okay, now all of a sudden we have to catapult them up ahead. We don't care that they lost bad last week to your Florida Gators. We don't care about that. We just want to make sure that we give LSU the respect they need because they beat beat Georgia this week.
Yeah,
Even though we're only basing that on where Georgia is ranked, and in the ranking system it's flawed, so we don't even know if Georgia's really that good because they hadn't really played anybody really great up until that point, but we're just assuming they're good, and because LSU beat them, now they're better than those 6 other teams that they jumped ahead of, which again, it's blasphemous.
No, it's we don't care that Georgia hasn't played anybody, and the first time they do, they lose by 20 points. We don't care about that. We just know that there was a number 2 next to their name, and LSU destroyed them. We don't want to know how they got that number 2 next to their name. We can't even explain why that number 2 is next to their name. We just know it's there. And if Georgia loses the next 5 games, guess what you're still going to hear about LSU 5 weeks from now? You're going to hear
that they beat a top 2 team.
They beat a top 2 team in the middle of October. They took a top 2 team to the test. They're doing the same thing with Miami and Auburn. They're like, oh, LSU's beaten 3 top 10 teams. No, they've beaten 1. Miami is no longer in the top 25, and neither is Auburn. You need to adjust that ranking ideology because I get it if you say we beat a top 10 team and Miami went on and won out their games and they're now in the top 10. But they're not. They've gone on to lose to Virginia. They've gone on to barely beat Florida State. I'm not sure if they have another loss. I feel like they have another loss in there somewhere, but maybe not. And Auburn, wow, what trash. What overrated trash coming into the season. Loses again to a Tennessee team that is god-awful. A Tennessee team that hasn't won an SEC conference game in, gosh, I don't know, since 2016, I want to say. It's been a while. I know they were 0-8 last year. I'm not sure what their record was in 16.
Well, I just want to say, for all those Tennessee fans out there, congratulations for that big win.
Yeah,
this was
big
like
time.
Winning the national championship for Tennessee. They took out a big SEC opponent. They've been getting disrespected for a very long time because what they put on the field is awful, like you mentioned, god-awful. And they come out and they punch Auburn in the face. They get a huge win. So for the fan base in Tennessee, I know you guys needed this. This was something that the depression and all of the naysaying and all of the just not even being able to get a coach to play for your or to come out for your team, all of that's wiped away because you got a big win this year. Enjoy it. You probably won't have too many more for the rest of the season. Enjoy it while you can. Yes, Auburn is overrated. They're overrated because of the name bias that we like to do every year. Big-time SEC team, we're just going to throw them in the top. It's like what we do with FSU on the ACC side. We always think FSU's better than they are. We throw them up really high on the rankings, and then they disappoint. Auburn got a big win up against Washington week 1, so all of a sudden we said, look, they are that good. Washington had to travel all the way cross country, and Washington I don't think is really that good. You're talking about a Pac-12 team, and the Pac-12 is not that good. So Auburn, they were inflated by a bad victory, and now they're coming back, and they're coming back to earth, and Tennessee is showing that Auburn is really not that great of a team, and I never thought Auburn was that good, and now we're just proving it on the football field where we should prove these things, Chris America.
Yeah. And
you know who else?
Another thing that's going to frustrate me real fast, I'm sorry, but
yeah, go ahead.
If Florida beats Georgia next week, sorry, not next week, we have the bye week, we both do, and then we go into the weekend of Halloween. So if we beat them that weekend, do you think they're going to catapult up 8 spots and leapfrog LSU if LSU is still undefeated at that point? No.
Probably not, no.
They won't. Because they're going to say, oh, well, you didn't beat a number 2 team, you beat the number 6 team, and that's different. Even though this is the same exact Georgia team that LSU played, it's just LSU got to play them first. It's just so stupid, but I don't have to worry about that. LSU has to play Mississippi State and Alabama, and I know if they beat those, then they'll probably rank LSU number 1 overall, and it'll be the end of it. So the ranking system is just, it's dumb, it's asinine, it makes 0 sense. It basically takes watching football, and you just throw it away. There's no point in watching football games, Loudbeard, because none of that matters. We're just going to just make stuff up as we go. Whatever teams we want to see in there, we get to choose our own adventure as the ranking systems and go with that.
But sometimes these teams, they need to put it out on the field, and when they have a good bye week, they can say, all right, we didn't lose on our bye week, so then we should jump up ahead of UCF like Oklahoma. That, to me, is the biggest head-scratcher of this whole AP Top 25. A team that is on a bye week jumps ahead of a team that gets a win. To me, that is just asinine. And we're just saying, all right, this is Oklahoma. This is one of the good old boys. We need to make sure that their name is still in the conversation. Anyway, Top 25 aside, I can't deal with it. It's a bunch of blasphemy. It's a bunch of hypocrites. They're just doing their thing, trying to keep the little guys down, like my UCF, and I can't stand for that. Now, if we talk about the games that were played on the field, yes, there was 3 teams sitting there in the top 10 that had really close games against teams they probably shouldn't have had close games against, but all 3 of those teams won. That would be UCF taking it to Memphis with the comeback win. You got Notre Dame barely squeaking by up against Pitt, and then you have Texas out there going up against Baylor, and all 3 of these games could have gone either way, but all 3 of them hang on, and they end up keeping a victory, which is good because there was a lot of teams in the top 10 that lost this past weekend, and this was the upset weekend that we were waiting for, and this was the upset weekend that just shook up college football, and I was excited to watch it. Every time I looked at the scores, I was sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, there's like 5 good games on right now because everybody's closer or these upsets are happening. Even your Florida Gators getting down big to Vanderbilt. Looked pretty bleak there at halftime. And you know what? Felipe Franks, he stayed poised, and he came back, and we saw a lot of comeback wins in college football. So a lot of teams out there barely hanging on for wins. I would say the only team that really showed that they could put it out there and get a win no matter what was Alabama. Alabama was the only team that not for 1 second did you doubt that they were going to win their game. Everybody else in the top 25 was sitting there, and it was just back and forth and just great games, man. I loved it. Saturday was a great day for college football.
Yeah, we had Virginia taking down number 16 Miami. We had Penn State losing to Michigan State, Oregon beating Washington, Iowa State beating West Virginia. That is a bloody Saturday if I ever saw one, and I really wish the other ones would have fallen. I really wish Pitt would have beat Notre Dame. Who else was out there that was close? Definitely didn't want my
Texas and
Gators
Ba-
losing. Definitely.
Yeah, we
didn't want
wanted we wanted Texas to go down to Baylor because Texas leapfrogged
that's what it
UCF
was.
in the standings, and that was they should not be ahead of UCF. But again, I have this bias here, being a UCF alum. I'm going to try to keep that aside. But Notre Dame and Texas, both of those teams, we would have liked to seen with a big upset. All the other teams out there that were looking at possibly getting upset, they did. All of them got upset. Oregon knocked off Washington, so 17 Oregon's coming in hot, and Washington now with 2 losses. I mean, I don't think they should even be in the conversation anymore. There was just so many good games. I can't believe Michigan State won. How is Michigan State's looked terrible all year, and they get a huge victory up against Penn State. Penn State looks so good against Ohio State, and they can't even hang with Michigan State. It's amazing how mentally these guys can't get up for these big games because they think these are going to be pushover games. Every game in college football matters. Yes, I understand if you're going up against Mercer and one of these programs that has like all one-star talent and there's just no depth, yeah, that's going to be probably a steamrolling. But there are situations when teams like your App States and teams like your Troy, these teams can come in and they get up for these games no matter what. So when I hear people say, oh, that's a terrible team, this team shouldn't be hanging, guess what? These are all college athletes. A lot of them are on scholarships, and it doesn't matter if you are playing for Alabama or if you are playing for Appalachian State. You are a athlete, and you can show up on a day and show teams what you're made of. So these upsets, they happen every year, and we're always surprised when they happen. But I think it's great for college football because it shows that there is parity, that some of these teams out here that think that they're better than everybody else, that say that, oh, because of my name, I'm better, these guys get knocked off. And, man, this is great. This is why we live for college football.
Yep, and there was one more game that we didn't mention, and it's a team that I was pretty high on, pretty confident on at the beginning of the season. Might have been a little homerish because of who I'm dating, but and then my confidence wavered after week 1. But then this team right here showed us that they might not be as bad as everybody thinks they are.
Well, Shea Patterson's starting to really kick it into gear, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Michigan looked fantastic on Saturday night. They absolutely throttled Wisconsin. And it's one of those big rank versus rank wins that I think Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines have needed for a very long time. It's something that they've starved for, especially seeing their offense put up 38 points against a team like Wisconsin. And then we've always known that their defense was good. They stifled Wisconsin. They held them to 13. And it wasn't even like a 13 that should have been. It was one of those late scores. Michigan's defense basically dominated Wisconsin all game long. But I think the Michigan team, you mentioned him, Shea Patterson, before I accidentally interrupted you with my fight song coming in. Just did pretty good. Now, he didn't have like the world on fire passing numbers. He had 124 passing yards, but he led that offense. He made it go, and 38-13 victory.
Yeah, I mean, this is another team that in the beginning of the year, you don't know what you're going to get out of Michigan. They lose week 1. That's a big loss, okay? So you move forward, and Michigan has just battled back and stayed in a lot of games, and now they're starting to win big games, and Michigan's somebody that people need to keep an eye on. They are a team that they've got a lot of momentum coming later here in the season, and Harbaugh's got that defense, man. That defense is great. And if Shea Patterson can be a playmaker like he is becoming, making plays with his legs and being able to see the field the way he does, I think that Michigan is a team that maybe a lot of people are underestimating, and now you're seeing them starting to creep up in the rankings because Michigan's a good team, and I don't know that we've given them the full credit that they deserve.
No, we haven't. And, I mean, it was a tough team to judge because after they lost to Notre Dame, they played some solid teams, but they weren't teams you're going to write home about. It wasn't anything major. I mean, it was Northwestern, Nebraska. There was probably some mid-major school in there somewhere that I can't think of. but they still won, and they got it done. And now they got this on their resume. And I think if Ohio State fans are sitting here thinking this is going to be another win for Ohio State, Michigan's just going to roll over for them again, I think they better think twice. And I know they're not going to be, ready for it, but I don't think they're going to be able to sit back and watch an Ohio State blowout this year.
Nope. I don't think so either.
But let's move on. If you're ready to move on, I'm ready to move on to baseball that we had this weekend.
Oh, one more thing I gotta bring this up. I got one more college. Actually, I got two more college football things. I'll do them quickly because you sound like you're locked and loaded for some baseball. Loving my baseball. All right, so I want to give a shout-out to our boy Chip Kelly getting his first win in college football since he's come back to UCLA. They get a huge win over Cal, blowout win. Chip Kelly is back. And Scott Frost, congratulations on looking like you might win a game in Nebraska and then blowing it at the very end and still staying winless in Nebraska. So two coaches there that have both disappointed at their on their new teams, and Chip Kelly gets the big win. And I thought Frost was going to come out with a hot win. He looked like they were doing good. They come up with a big lead, and they end up blowing it. So Nebraska is a hot dumpster fire. I even saw an article saying like Nebraska would owe Scott Frost $26 million if they cut ties with him after this season. The fact that there's an article being written about you when you were the hot coaching candidate and you got paid this $5 million or 5-year guaranteed contract, and now there's already press out there saying, well, if they need to get rid of Scott Frost, this is what they're going to have to pay him. It might be an option. We probably need to look at what is going on because this is the worst season Nebraska has had in a very, very long time.
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of surprising they're writing those articles already because this is the golden boy. This is the prodigal son has returned. Nebraska's, one and only son, and now they're talking about how much it's going to cost to get rid of him. That to me is surprising, and also surprising is I don't know if the kid played, but Nebraska got the NCAA to feel so sorry for him and for them that they allowed a UCF quarterback who followed Scott Frost to Nebraska eligible to play right away this year. This happened this week. I don't know if he played in that game. I don't know if you know this, but that actually happened this past week that we didn't go over.
And then didn't he block somebody from going somewhere else?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So he was allowed to bring in his player from UCF and get them eligible right away, but then he started blocking another guy that wanted to transfer out and play somewhere else.
Not only did he want to play somewhere else, he wanted to go to. So all the Nebraska coaches, not all, but two, the head coach and some other guy, went to Oregon State. And since then, Nebraska's already lost 3 players to Oregon State. Now their running back wants to transfer. And Frost is like, well, you can go anywhere but the Big Ten or Oregon State. So I don't want you to go with your head coach, even though I'm okay taking kids from UCF.
So now if you were that UCF player that came with Scott Frost, and you're looking at UCF's record and then you're looking at Nebraska's record, are you sitting there looking in the mirror saying, what was I thinking? Like,
a little bit, yeah, but at the same, especially since you're going to be sitting out anyways, but I think he knew Mackenzie Milton is there for another 2 years, so I don't see that changing for him, but maybe he should have transferred to another school other than Nebraska.
That's so true. And then I have one other hot take for you, Chris America. I was listening to the recap of Beck's Work Week in Review. It comes on every Friday from 2 to 4. This past week was a hot episode. He brought on his good friend Fake Lou Holtz. And I want to say that Fake Lou Holtz gave me some really bad gambling information. He said Notre Dame had a 3-score advantage on the line against Pitt. And he said, that's it. That's the lock right there. It's going to be 20 points. Notre Dame's going to cover the spread, and they're going to kill Pitt. He said, bet your mortgage on it. Bet whatever you have on it. This is the lock of the week. Notre Dame will cover the spread against Pitt. And I'm just letting you know right now, I did not put my mortgage on it, thank goodness, because that was a hot garbage take.
Nikolai would have been coming after you, man.
That would have been bad stuff right there,
You would have gotten
my friend.
a call from Nikolai.
We would have been.
Oh,
All right,
man.
let's baseball it up, man. You ready for this? This is a hot weekend in
I
baseball
am,
too.
And listen, these championship series have not disappointed. We've only had one stinker of a game. That was game 1 between Astros and Red Sox. The Astros beat them up. I mean, I guess it wasn't a stinker. The Astros put up 4 runs in the 9th. I forgot about that. So it was really a close game, 3-2, all the way through the 9th, and then the Astros just poured it on. The Red Sox returned the favor, though. They ended up winning last night 7-5. David Price didn't get the win, but he didn't have the postseason meltdown that he usually has. So that's a win for the Red Sox and a win for David Price, I think.
No, he actually had a pretty decent game. You're going up against a really talented team, so you're going to let in some runs. You're going to let in some hits. But when he handed the ball over, it was in the 5th inning, so he did 4 2/3. If he would have just gotten one more out, they would have actually credited him with the win. So he was 1 out away from the win. Now he had left a couple runners on base. The guy that they brought in to relieve him got the out immediately, ended the inning, and so they were in good shape. And the Red Sox kind of sailed from there. They got a couple more runs later in the game. Astros scored one more at that point too. So either way, I don't think anything is to be blamed at David Price. I actually think Chris Sale had a really rough outing game 1, and he's your ace. He looked like his stuff was just not there. So Friday, he just was off. He wasn't hitting his spots. He didn't have the velocity he normally has. And they've actually checked him in this week to the hospital. He has some sort of weird stomach illness going on. So that could be some concern for the Red Sox moving forward because that's their ace, man.
If it's a stomach virus, you're good with that because stomach viruses are usually around 24 hours, and that could explain why he had such a bad outing on Saturday. I mean, when you're trying to hold down your vomit or, clenching your butt cheeks, it's hard to throw a baseball well. That's all I'm going to say. So if he has a stomach thing, that could
Sounds
explain
like you know
why.
from experience.
Yeah, man, I've had like 2 or 3 really awful stomach viruses in my lifetime, and they are not fun. But like I said, the good news about a stomach virus is like usually within 24 to 36 hours, you're good to go. You're solid. So he should be ready to go by the next time he starts. Just put some IVs in him, hydrate him up, get your championship Gatorade. He'll be good to go by the time he has to start if we get that start. But heading back to Houston, man, I don't like this type of series. I don't like the 2-3-2 way of doing things because now all the Astros need to do is just win 3 at home and they're moving on. I like the 2-2-1-1-1. What do you think?
That's a lot of traveling, though. I mean, I can understand the 2-3-2. NBA does it that way too, and I don't know. I don't dislike it. I think the Red Sox have to win some on the road. Like if you're going to be the best team, you had the home advantage for the first 2 games. Now you got to win some on the road and hope that it comes back to your place. And I think it will. I think this is going to be a back and forth. It's going to go 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, or So we're going to have a great matchup. So it's going to be back and forth. I'm looking forward to it though. Same thing with the Dodgers-Brewers, man. These are both going to be great series.
Man. That series is hot. The bats were hot for the Brewers on Friday night. They jump out to the early lead, and then the Dodgers come back, but the Brewers hold them off for a 6-5 lead. Man, Milwaukee, they were loud. They were raucous. That crowd was you could tell they were hungry for postseason baseball, for championship series baseball, and they brought it. And the Dodgers, just like the Red Sox, they came back the next day, game 2, and they got a win. They got that win they needed. You can't go down in a baseball series down 2-0. It's super hard to come back down 2-0. Not that it never happens, but, man, if you go down 2 games, the first 2 games, it's tough to crawl back out.
No, I'm with you on that, and you're right. The Brewers, they're excited. That city's excited. This is a team that hasn't been here. When you talk about the Red Sox and the Astros and the Dodgers, these are all teams that have been here the last couple years. The Brewers have not. This is new ground for Milwaukee, and they are excited, and they're backing their team. It's a great sports town, and to see them come out and just support their team the way they have, and this is up against a very good Dodgers team that has a lot of firepower. So Milwaukee is coming in up against a juggernaut of a team, and they're holding their own. And right now, series is 1-1. And, again, we're just going to be back and forth, and I'm excited to see all of this unravel over the next week.
Yeah, if this holds true, man, I'd love to see 2 7-game series in the championship series, and then whoever comes out, I think whoever comes out of these 4, we're gonna have a really, really good World Series to watch. It don't matter who comes out, whether it's Brewers or Dodgers, Astros or Red Sox. We're in for a very, very fun October, and it looks like a very cold one. Lots of people in jackets, and we had some snow out in Denver. We didn't get a snow game, but we almost did, man. We almost had a snow football game this weekend. We'll have to talk about all the NFL stuff coming up after the break.
And the Cowboys might have a new quarterback, the notorious one.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. "12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst."
Oh, guess who it is? Did you know the station had a janitor? Oh, yeah, the Hefe, otherwise known as Beck. And it's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-ounce sports radio every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch interviews, special guests, and the recap of the week's news and headlines and box scores and results. It's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-ounce sports radio.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-ounce sports radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb. Do you own a small business? Are you looking for solutions to all of your communications, problems, and challenges that you have? Check out Ring Central. Give them a call. They have partnered with 12ouncesportsradio.com to give you the best rates on all of your business and office solutions for communication. Give them a call today. We have a dedicated line for all of the 12-ounce sports radio listeners. It is 1-877-779-3860. You will get a representative on the phone who will help you with all of your small business communications needs. Once again, give them a call today, 1-877-779-3860.
Yeah, welcome back. You are listening to the Scout Team. Sorry about that little break there. I thought there was one more commercial left to play. I looked down and I said, out of commercials to play. Let's get back to it. You are listening to the Scout Team. I'm Loudbeard. He's Chris America. We come at you live every Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., and we replay again at 11 a.m. on 12-ounce sports radio. And if you ever want to catch any of our old episodes, you can always hit us up on our website at scoutteamradio.com, or you can check out Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. Man, great lineup today on 12-ounce sports radio. Just taking a look at the lineup here. A lot of great stuff going on. We're on at 6 a.m. right now, live. Coming on at 7 is the World Hockey Report. 8 o'clock, we got Clutch Talk Sports. At noon, College Credit Hour. At 2, Off the Field. At 4, Bourbon and Bad Opinions. At 5, Stick and Rink. Oh, my gosh, it just doesn't stop. At 10 o'clock tonight, Primetime Angles with the Primetime Capper. Man, this lineup today on 12 Ounce Sports Radio, Chris America, It is hot.
Can't stop, won't stop.
That's right. All right, man. Let's get back to it. We wanted to talk about the NFL, and there was so much stuff going on this weekend. There is so much to talk about. I just want to say, yes, we need to talk about some NFL. You and I, we started it off. We teased the audience by talking a little Redskins-Panthers. I don't want to keep bringing that game up because I know that's sensitive right now in your life. I don't want you to be overly sensitive because of your Panthers losing. They are still a good team. But there was a lot of great games yesterday, and last night I think was the best game of the week. It was just awesome. I don't know if you had an opportunity to catch every second of it, but I watched this game pretty intently, and this was a great game to watch. Chiefs, Patriots, you have the Chiefs, who were undefeated, coming into this game with the young Patrick Mahomes looking hot. You got the old savvy veteran and Tom Brady, the GOAT, as they like to call him, and they were going up in an epic battle, and these guys did not disappoint. This game was back and forth, high scoring, and as we always like to see happen, Tom Brady gets the ball in his hands with the game tied and the opportunity to drive down the field and win the game. And when this happens, this guy does not lose. He knows how to win games, and he knows how to bring this team back. He hits Rob Gronkowski for a huge completion, and then they bring in the automatic Steven Gostkowski for that game-winning field goal for that 43-40 victory. And your guy, Patrick Mahomes, he tastes defeat for the first time as a starting quarterback. Chris America, how you feel about this?
You know, I feel bad for Mahomes right now because this guy is electric. He's having a phenomenal season. Definitely top 5 quarterback. We've already mentioned that on previous shows. He puts up 40 points for his offense. If you put up 40 points in the NFL, that should equal a win. You should win 9 out of 10 games, 100 out of 100 games, really. If you score 40 points in the NFL, that should be it. That should be donezo. But his defense let him down again. His defense has just been god-awful. They had the good week against the Jaguars, but it looks like they're falling apart at the seams. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And the Chiefs go back to that defense that can't make tackles, defense that can't stop anybody, that, there was at one point, and this is where we don't want to talk about it today, but maybe we can talk about it later on in the week. Speaks, I think was his name, a defensive lineman or a linebacker, grabbed a hold of Tom Brady's waist near the end zone, and then I guess he thought he let go of the football or he threw the football, so he just kind of let Tom Brady go. He didn't want to get a penalty. He didn't want to, hurt his team. And so he lets Tom Brady go, and Tom Brady sees there's just this wide open hole for the end zone, and he just runs it in and gets a rushing touchdown from 4 yards out. I think that was the difference, was that play right there. But the defense has to play better for Kansas City. If they had a good defense, man, the Chiefs, they would be my Super Bowl pick. But it's because of that defense, I can't pull the trigger on the Kansas City Chiefs just yet to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and we get to see what their weakness is, and their weakness is defense. We know that they're going to have a great offense. We know that they're going to score a ton of points. This team has got so many playmakers between Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt and then Patrick Mahomes. And, they've got other guys like Sammy Watkins, and just they have a plethora of talent on the offensive side of the ball. And on the defensive side of the ball, they have playmakers, but some of their guys are out hurt. They've got Justin Houston, who's arguably one of their best players. He is out hurt. And when you have injuries start mounting on a team that doesn't have a ton of depth on defense, you start seeing these weaknesses come. And you know what? New England is a great offense. Tom Brady knows how to pick apart a defense. He knows how to make you look even worse than you actually are. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. The Patriots are starting to really kick it in gear. They do this every year where they start out slow and people start questioning them, and then they just start gaining momentum as the year goes on. They get better at game planning. Their offense gets smoother. They start utilizing their weapons. Having Julian Edelman back for the second week, you could see that chemistry continue. And it's not just Edelman. It's like Chris Hogan and James White and Sony Michel. And, they've got some offensive weapons. It's just unbelievable to see what the Patriots are doing. And, yeah, the Chiefs, they could have used a little bit more help on their defense, and It doesn't look like that help's coming. I think the Chiefs are still going to have a great year, but you're right. It's hard to put them in that Super Bowl when they have a glaring weakness on defense.
Yeah, it means that Mahomes has to play absolutely perfect, can't make any mistakes, and he did in the first half. He threw 2 interceptions, and that's really what set the Patriots ahead in the first half. I think the score going into the half was 24-9, and so the Chiefs were behind the 8 ball right away, and so if Mahomes doesn't play perfect, then the Chiefs are probably going to lose games. So Mahomes has to play perfect, which is it's an unnecessary request of any quarterback. But
it's really unrealistic to say, oh, hey, this is your first year as a quarterback. You can't make any mistakes, otherwise we'll lose.
Otherwise we'll lose. If you even have 1 interception, it's going to be tough for us to win. But we talked about how good the Patriots have been doing ever since they got blown out by the Jaguars a few weeks ago. The Patriots have looked electric. However, the Jaguars, on the other hand, have taken a completely different turn after that game. Another game where they just look like they don't belong. They look like a top 5 draft pick team instead of a Super Bowl contending team. What happened yesterday, Loudbeard?
Well, you know what happened. You can't put this on the Jaguars. This is not fair. You know what happened is the Cowboys got wind of the Cleveland Browns being America's team. And they said, you know what, we're going to have to step up our game. They call up Conor McGregor, and they say, Conor McGregor, come over here. And Conor McGregor gives this just lighting the world on fire, motivational speech. He gets everybody pumped up, and the team responds. The Cowboys look like a whole different team. They're world beaters out there just because they got the motivation from Conor McGregor. He goes out there, he throws a football like a woman, but it doesn't matter because he's motivating that team. Dak Prescott gets a chance to run the ball into the end zone, and he's doing Conor McGregor's swaggy dance. He loves it. They are on fire because of Conor McGregor. That's the only reason why the Jaguars lost is because of Conor McGregor, Chris America. That's the only reason.
I heard about this, too. I saw that Cole Beasley had 9 receptions, 101 yards for 2 touchdowns. They asked him after the game what happened. He said Conor McGregor came in, gave us a motivational speech. He's like, I couldn't understand a lick of what he said, but he was energy. He was fiery. He did the little Conor McGregor walk, and I knew I had to go off. Again, I could not understand a single word he said, but I just knew it was fiery.
I mean, that's all that matters. All you need is that spark. You need to get your ignition running. You need to get it all going. And Conor McGregor did that. He said, Cowboys, you guys aren't that good, but I'm going to make you good today. I'm going to make you feel like you're winners. And because of that, you're going to go out there and win. And this is what we do. So Conor McGregor, he gets the win. So I don't know if in the record books it should count as a Cowboys victory or a Conor McGregor victory because, Conor McGregor needs a couple extra victories after his last few fights. And I think this counts. He beat the Jaguars mentally and emotionally. He just, I don't even, why is he not out there motivating the Jaguars, Chris America? Why did he have to go to America's team? This right here in itself hurts my feelings because I don't like the Cowboys.
They might have to call him up, especially since maybe he doesn't like the Jaguars because Jaguars are London's team, and Irish people and English people don't get along as well as we'd like to think they do. So maybe that could have a little something to do with it. But we got to go over this Jaguars team maybe tomorrow. We don't have time today, but I think we need to go over what's the future for the Jacksonville Jaguars. If they're ever going to be able to bounce back. I glanced at their schedule. We'll talk about it next week, but we mentioned the Chiefs being undefeated and not being able to escape this week with their record intact. But the Rams, on the other hand, they were able to do it, and they didn't do it on offense this time. They did it on defense. They had to come in and help out Jared Goff, who had just a ho-hum day. He was 50%, 201 yards. Not the Jared Goff we've been used to seeing. Now, granted, Todd Gurley went off. He had 28 carries, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he did it, but it was really the Rams defense that kind of held on, and they won 23-20 against a tough defensive team in the Denver Broncos and a very, very cold October day. It was snowing in Denver yesterday, Loudbeard. Did you know this?
Yeah, I saw the flurry. They were showing it on, it was on social media ahead of time. I think the NFL had tweeted it out. And I saw that, and I was thinking, man, it is like 89 degrees outside in Orlando, Florida right now. I can't even think about snow. I wish we would just get like a cool day, let alone like a snow flurry.
Yeah.
And I see this, and these guys, one, as the temperature starts dropping in football, you see that the offenses start slowing down. So, yeah, it's a 23-20 game, but you realize that the offense isn't what's keeping this game going. It's the defenses. And the Rams had to adapt to what was going on, so they decided to just pound the ball. And Todd Gurley gave a great performance. This was the most rushing yardage he had ever had in a single game, so this was like a career best for him. And that's saying a lot from a guy that has been just amazing in the NFL. And the Rams, they did it. They said that we're going to run the ball and we're going to play tough defense. That's going to be our formula, and we're going to get the win, and that's what happened. Now, I did see that Emmanuel Sanders, he got in the first quarter, he had a personal foul for taunting, where I think he was pointing at a player or just did something where he was pointing and he was showing off a little bit. And he came back out and said, I think the NFL's soft. I think the refs are soft. I hate this. That hurt my team. That killed our drive. That could have been a drive that we got points on. We only lost by 3 points. That could have been a major turning point in this game. And he's like, that falls on me, and I take responsibility for that. But the NFL is soft. And he's saying that in itself is hurting. Now, when you look at what happened in the Patriots game, where that defensive player is afraid to tackle Tom Brady because he's afraid to get a penalty, same thing here. These guys are afraid to do anything. They're going to penalize them for everything. These refs are just throwing yellow laundry out all over the field at every play. It ruins the pace of play. It ruins the flow of the game, and it ruins the experience. So, come on, NFL. I think you are soft.
Yeah, I watched that play, and I don't know. He thought he scored a touchdown. That's the first thing, and I think he might have made a different decision. But you got to make a decision at all times that doesn't hurt your teams. I get it. I get the frustration, but the reason why they have this no taunting rule is because the NFL has been just trying to get rid of fighting on the field. It hasn't really been a problem. I think the last time we've had, like, oh my gosh, did you see those two guys go out? It was when Josh Norman and OBJ, like 3 or 4 years ago, went just at each other. And it's because of rules like this that kind of nip the situation in the bud where, okay, if you're going to get up and taunt, we're going to flag you because we don't want what happens next usually when players get in other players' faces is it turns into fights, and then fights turn into brawls, and we don't want that in the NFL. So they've done a fantastic job of getting rid of fighting in the NFL. Like I said, there's really not that much that goes on. But, yeah, you hate to see a game decided like that where a guy thinks he scores a touchdown and he's emotional. He's excited. Maybe that cornerback was talking, trashed him the whole game, and so he just had to get up and be like, hi, I told you I was going to beat you. You told me I couldn't beat you, and I just got you for a touchdown. And the ref saw that and threw the flag. I think maybe they should I don't know what the solution is. Maybe withhold the flag until you see it get escalated. But again, you don't want it to get escalated. You want it to stop right before the taunting thing. So I don't know what the answer is there, but I understand why the rule is there. But the Broncos, they need a running game. That was their biggest difference. Case Keenum did all he could. He had 322 yards, 2 touchdowns. You mentioned Emmanuel Sanders. He went off for 115 yards and a touchdown. But the running game, they had 22 yards from one running back and 18 yards from their other, and that's just not good. That's not gonna cut it in the NFL.
No, and it was the opposite of what the Rams were doing. So the Rams, their game plan was successful, and the Broncos just could not run the ball. And on a cold game, you need a running game. You can't just air it out. It's just not a recipe for success over there. All right, what other games do you want to talk about here? What other NFL games?
Well, Loudbeard, I think we're going to set a record this year for most overtime weeks in a row. We had another overtime game, and we were very, very close to having another tie. The Dolphins, somehow, behind the arm of Brock Osweiler, who lit up the Chicago Bears defense, 380 yards, 3 touchdowns. I did not see this coming. Old man, you talk about old men in your Black Captain America for your
Adrian Peterson, Black Captain America. That's my guy.
Well, the Miami Dolphins have their Black Wolverine in Frank Gore. He's just shredded the Bears defense. A great defensive line, and especially in overtime, he had some big carries that brought them down to the end zone. And then Kenyon Drake, he fumbled the ball, almost lost the game for the Dolphins. But Frank Gore, man, what a story. And then Brock Osweiler, man, my boy's a Dolphins fan. He's like, we're going to lose today. Brock Osweiler is our quarterback. And I was like, wait, what happened? He's like, yeah, Tannehill's hurt. And then they win.
Yeah, that was a big game. And it's in overtime. They're on the 1 yard line. You hand the ball to Frank Gore. I'm sorry. You don't give it to Kenyon Drake. You give it to Frank Gore. Drake loses that fumble. The Dolphins get the ball back and are able to kick a game-winning field goal as time expires in overtime. Great game. I cannot believe the Dolphins won. I cannot believe Brock Osweiler played that well. That game to me, I mean, Frank Gore, that guy just never stops. Fountain of youth. I don't get it, but great game. Also, good game there.
And so the Chicago Bears went up big, and I kind of turned the game off. I was like, okay, this game's starting to be a blowout. Chicago is pounding the Dolphins like they should. And then next thing I know, the Dolphins are scoring touchdowns, and they put 15 points up on the board in the fourth quarter, and we're going to overtime. So heck of a game. I've talked a lot of trash about the Miami Dolphins this season, not being a believer, but right now they're 4-2.
You know, another team that you're not a believer in, the San Diego Chargers. Wait, they're not in San Diego anymore. The Chargers, wherever they play, I don't even know where it is anymore. I think it's Los Angeles, but I could be wrong.
Some soccer stadium.
It's basically, I don't even know. The field looks awful. I keep calling them San Diego, man. I can't even get over it. LA Chargers, they go out there and they stomp America's team, the Cleveland Browns. What is this all about, Chris America? The Chargers are 4-2, and you left them for dead.
I left the Dolphins for dead, and I left the Chargers for dead, and both of these teams are 4-2. Maybe I'll change my tune a little bit, but I don't know if I'm going to change my tune so much on the Chargers for stomping the Browns. I know we're high on the Browns. I know we're Team Cleveland. We're America's team here, but this did surprise me, especially with how good the Browns defense is. Phillip Rivers, he didn't even, if you see a 38-14 game, you assume that Phillip Rivers went off and had a day with 400 yards. He, again, was kind of ho-hum, 11 for 20, 207 yards. It was Melvin Gordon who just went off on the Browns. They had no answer for Melvin Gordon with 7.3 yards of carry and 3 touchdowns, man. It was a game. And then Terrell Williams also. Like I said, Phillip Rivers had 207 yards. Terrell Williams had 118 of them.
I mean, he channeled his inner LaDainian Tomlinson to make this happen. That's what happened out there. The Chargers have that little bit of luck where they can get their LaDainian Tomlinson going into Melvin Gordon. And this Tyrell Williams, man, I don't know where he came from. I know he's been around there. He's like a big play threat. But this Chargers team, they look like they got it going on, man. They're like Stacy's mom. They've got it going on.
She does have it going on, and right now the Chargers do. The Chargers do, and their schedule looks to set up fairly decent for them. They got the Titans next. That's a tough game, but it's at home. Then they have Seattle, and then they have the Raiders. They could easily go 2-1 in that stretch.
All right, so we're running out of time here. I just got to mention this guy, Nathan Peterman, gets an opportunity to play quarterback in the NFL again after being awful every time he's ever touched the ball. So he does what he should do, and that is tell the world, all I know how to do is throw interceptions, and he throws a pick six so his team can lose. The Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen goes out with an elbow injury. Why is this guy still on the roster? Is there not another quarterback in the world that they could put in as a backup? Like, why do they keep giving this guy chances? I don't understand, man.
6 of 12, 61 yards. He did throw a touchdown, but he had the pick six and another interception on top of that. Yeah, that's
he had
awful.
6 completions and 2 interceptions, Chris America.
You know,
is that what you just said?
Did
6
I what?
completions. He had 6 completions and 2 interceptions?
Yes, 6 completions, 2 interceptions. He threw 12 passes total.
Why is this guy still in the NFL? Why is somebody paying this man to do what he's doing out there? This is I don't understand this, Chris America. Why?
Since
Why?
it's motivational money, I'm trying to give a positive spin to everything. So he threw 12 balls, and 8 of them were caught. So let's put it that way. So he was 8 for 12.
You're padding his stats.
Yeah. He was 8 for 12 on the day, 61 yards. It wasn't that bad. And he threw 2 touchdown passes, okay? He threw 2 touchdown passes. He was 8 for 12.
One was to the other team. One
know.
was to the other team.
I know. I'm trying to be positive here, okay? He completed 6 passes to his team, 2 passes to the other team, 2 touchdown passes total. That's a good stat, man. If only there was a former 49er quarterback out there that could help them out. But we won't get into that. We don't have time. 49ers, Packers, since we're bringing them up, who do you got tonight?
I got to go Packers. Packers need to bounce back. They still have Aaron Rodgers, best player on the field tonight with these two teams. Yeah, got to go Packers.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be Packers. If my boy Jimmy G was around, that would have been a great Jimmy G versus your boy Aaron Rodgers, Ron, but it didn't come to fruition, so we're left with this. I think it's going to be a stinker of a game.
Yeah, I think so too. The 49ers, they just have no momentum at this point. Losing their franchise quarterback, I think the Packers do need to bounce back. Yeah, this could be a stinker.
All right, well, we're out of time, man. We'll have to do it again tomorrow.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
See ya.
Peace. Yeah, seriously, Nathan Peterman. Nathan Peterman.
Sounds like an insurance salesman than a quarterback.
I hope he's better at that than quarterbacking.